Our Hall of Fame, the mission statement, reads like this. While we acknowledge that there are many accomplished and popular drivers who have had a Hall of Fame level success at tracks, including Wiscasset Speedway, this Hall of Fame is designed to include individuals that have had a significant and lasting impact specifically to the success of Wiscasset Speedway. Now that doesn't necessarily mean, obviously, championships and race wins, those are important factors, but that is not just it. If you played a significant part in the history of this racetrack, whether it was as a sponsor, a car owner, a car painter, a fabricator, engine builder, then you have met the criteria to join this group. We solicit nominations throughout the year. We've held a couple meetings in the early spring, held several discussions that narrow down the list, and then our Hall of Fame committee votes on the final inductees. So that is where we are here at this moment today. One thing that we added this year was a special award we have called the Legacy Award. And we have 3 individuals receiving that award today. It goes to gentlemen who have had a lifetime of giving to the sport, helping others. They may not have been had a large vision in the forefront of what's going on, but they were on people's race crews. They were helping build this place. They were doing whatever they could to foster their love of the sport throughout their lifetime, in health and in sickness. So we have 3 gentlemen that we're honoring here today. And then we also have our 7 current new inductees to the 2022 class of the Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Fame. So without further ado, let's introduce you to our Legacy Award winners this afternoon. Our first one, and we're going in alphabetical order, that's the way we figured would be the most fair way to do this. First one is Neil Greenleaf. And basically I'm paraphrasing what our bios say here, and you're welcome to check them out a little bit later. Neil Greenleaf may not have won a lot of races or had the nicest, flashiest equipment, but it was easy to tell that racing was his life, and he would do anything to support it and his favorite track. Neil was in his early 20s when Wilfred Crump broke ground in 1967 in what would become Maine's newest and fastest racetrack. Neil was there to work and help Crump complete his vision and see his dream come to life. Once the track was complete, Neil put together a car and was soon wheeling his way around the 3/8-mile speedway in the huge and competitive hobby class. He picked up 2 or 3 wins, but that didn't deter him. He just loved to race. He would help other family members and friends comb the area junkyards for cars and parts and get them on the track. He managed to do this for his entire racing career, doing a lot with a little. When he couldn't race himself, he would always be there to help others. Neil Greenleaf's dedication to racing and Wiscasset Speedway were on full display in 2013 and 14, when despite failing health, he would come to the track regularly to help Richard and Vanessa Jordan bring this track back to life. Neil also tried to get back on the track for a final spin himself, but instead turned the wheel over to family friend Jeff Davis, who proudly wheeled the number 99 once again. It was easy to see how much Neil Greenleaf loved Wiscasset Speedway, and for his lifelong dedication and contributions to the sport, he's being honored today with a 2022 Legacy Award from Wiscasset Speedway. So without further ado, Mona, would you please come on up for a second? I have this plaque of recognition for you guys, and congratulations, and anybody you would like to thank or anything you'd like to say?
No.
Well, congratulations, dear. Our next Legacy Award recipient is Neil Rennie. Some of the best racers in Wiscasset's history have come out of the Mid-Coast Maine area, and chances are at some point that it had an association with Neil Rennie. The Booth Bay Harbor native began racing in Wiscasset's hobby division in 1971. While he found little success as a driver, winning a handful of races, he soon moved into owning and turning wrenches for many others. He first teamed up with one of the track's most dynamic racers, his friend Teddy Polino. The pair were nearly unbeatable over a 5-year stretch through the mid-70s, picking up many, many wins at Wiscasset and Unity, along with a couple of championships here at Wiscasset. Their mark of 18 straight wins in 1973 and 74 is a feat that will most likely never be equal. Following Teddy hanging up his helmet, Neil joined forces with fellow Boot Bay native J.C. Marsh, helping him to the 1992 Pro Stock title. By the time the mid-90s arrived, Neil teamed up with his son Steve in Wiscasset's limited, late model, and Pro Stock divisions. The younger Reilly was a popular driver and, thanks in part to his dad, also drove to several wins at Maine's fastest track. They then traveled around the region as part of the ACT Tour, contending for checkered flags. Neil finally retired from racing in 2016 at the age of 74, following the untimely passing of his son Steve. But still today, nearly every racer that has hauled a race car up from the peninsulas and islands of Mid-Coast, Maine, can credit much of their success to the support and knowledge of Neil Reilly. For his lifetime dedication and contribution to the sport, Neil is a 2022 Legacy Award winner here at Wiscasset Speedway. Congratulations, Neil. And I will present this. Neil's right over here, but he's a little bashful, so I'm going to give this plaque right here to Gene. So congratulations. And is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of Neil?
Not really.
You guys,
He probably could say a lot, but I don't.
oh, he was already telling me stories over behind here, but there's probably too many people to thank.
They're right.
All right, well, first and foremost, we better thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, with our 3 Legacy Award winners, we've got a special display right over here to my left. Each of them has a window box full of pictures and memorabilia from their recent careers, so make sure you check that out. Our third and final Legacy Award winner today is Johnny Rice. Johnny Rice has been involved in racing since the early 60s. The South Bristol native raced off and on tracks including Unity, Beach Ridge, the old C-Class, and Wiscasset. While he didn't find a lot of success behind the wheel, a few heat wins, he has found many, many ways to stay involved in the sport he loves. Is that your parole officer, Dave? I told you this was informal. All right. While he didn't find a lot of success behind the wheel beyond a few heat wins, he found many ways to stay involved in the sport he loves and continue to contribute even today. As a car owner, he had drivers Doug Ripley and Jerry Farron wheeling his cars. As a crew member, he worked with J.C. Marsh, Jim Kaler, and Josh Bailey, among others. Off the track, he worked at Wisconsin's Tech Shack for a short time, and also served on the board of directors of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association. Even today, you can find Johnny Rice hanging out with his friends in the pits of Wiscasset Speedway, lending his 60 years of racing knowledge. For several years, he's been involved in vintage racing organizations, the Senior Tour Auto Racers, and the Wicked Good Vintage Racers. He owns 3 cars that run regularly with guest drivers James Osmond and Kevin Sherman. But Johnny is even still wheeling his own number 24 car in the Wicked Good Vintage Racers hobby class, and still winning races at the age of 80. For his lifelong involvement as a race fan, driver, mentor, and contributor, we're happy to award Johnny Rice with a 2022 Wiscasset Speedway Legacy Award. There you go, sir. Congratulations. And what keeps you going? What keeps you racing at this age?
Wife kicked me up.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I want to thank you for on the form where it says your highlights of your racing career. You listed meeting Lorraine as your biggest achievement.
That's correct.
All right, good answer. She's the one who filled out the form, but who do you want to thank besides Lorraine?
Well, everybody.
All right, congratulations once again. So for our first inductee, it is Larry Emerson. Larry Emerson was an everyman's kind of racer during his long career, both in and out of the race car. No frills, no flash, but a ton of talent and knowledge when it came to racing. He spent pretty near his whole career wheeling street stocks around the bull rings of Maine, most frequently at Oxford Plains Speedway. But he played a significant role in the success of Wiscasset Speedway and its drivers too. The patriarch of the Emerson racing family notched several wins in Wiscasset through the 80s and 90s. In 1987, Larry and his father John took a swing at being track promoters as well. taking over operations of Wiscasset Motor Speedway for a season. It was a relatively short venture for the duo, and Larry refocused on driving full-time. Over the next decade, he continued to pile up wins as his own racing career came to an end. He then turned his efforts toward building cars for family and friends and supplying parts for area racers from his salvage yard. Other members of the Emerson family followed in his footsteps, finding success at Wiscasset, including his son Zach winning a pair of Wiscasset championships. As his health began to decline, Larry's most personally rewarding success soon came mentoring the racing career of his two grandsons, Caleb and Jonathan. As the crew chief for Jonathan, the pair grabbed a dozen wins together. Larry passed away in December of 2019, and the following season, Jonathan honored him with a special throwback paint scheme to tribute his grandfather, and wrapped up the season as the 2020 Strictly Shootout champion. Whether acting as a mentor, crew chief, car builder, parts supplier, promoter, or driver, Larry Emerson has had a lasting impact in nearly every aspect of racing in Mid-Coast and Central Maine, and is now honored as a member of the Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Fame, class of 2022. Congratulations, Larry Emerson. Zach, you get to be the spokesman for the family today. Talk a little bit about your dad's career that you remember from a young age. He seemed to just basically get cars. They didn't have to be fancy. They just, whatever you could get on the track and race.
No, as far back as I can remember, he was one of those guys, like most everybody that's being inducted here. You built stuff. Whatever you can do, as cheap as you can do it, and as fast as you can go. He said it's amazing that he's inducted at like thing with Cass, Vanessa, Richard, everybody here. Sponsors throughout his whole career, everybody, all the fans, just unbelievable.
All right, congratulations. I have here for you this plaque right here. Yeah. Right there, checkered flag that says Larry Emerson, class of 2022. Congratulations. Our next inductee is Chuck Lachance. Chuck Lachance wrapped up his racing career as one of the most popular late model and pro stock drivers ever to compete at Wiscasset Speedway. The charismatic driver from mid-coast Maine town of Cushing had a smooth style of driving and a humble personality to go with it, endearing him to fans and fellow competitors. Chuck Lachance got into racing in the late 80s, grabbing a limited sportsman championship at Unity Raceway in 1988. He then made Wiscasset his home track in 1991 as the St. Clair family reopened the coastal Maine speed plan. Chuck quickly got to work collecting checkered flags and a limited sportsman title in his first year at Wiscasset, and then backed it up with another limited championship in 1994. During the string of dominance in 1993 and 94, Lachance notched 13 feature wins in 2 years, including an amazing 4 consecutive 100-lap victories. In 1995, he made the much anticipated leap up to running the full-time in the pro stock ranks and barely missed a beat. In his first year in the top class, he won 3 feature races on the way to Rookie of the Year honors and the 1995 Wiscasset Speedway Driver of the Year. That year, he would also claim a pair of 100-lap wins in the highly competitive Summer Sizzler Series between Wiscasset, Unity, and Speedway 95. Lachance continued to stack up pro stock wins at his home track at Wiscasset over the next several years, as well as other tracks around the Northeast as part of the Pro All-Star Series. All told in his racing career at Wiscasset Speedway that spanned nearly 20 years, Chuck Lachance amassed over 30 feature wins, many of them big money marquee events when the spotlight shined its brightest. A pair of championships, a Driver of the Year award, and countless applause from his fans. This year, Chuck adds to his already impressive resume and takes his rightful place in the Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Fame class of 2022. Now, Chuck, I realized something, and I apologize for not knowing this ahead of time, but when you broke in as a rookie, you weren't like these days, 12, 13 years old as a rookie. You were in your 30s as a rookie.
I was 33 years old when I finally first started racing, so I wanted to race when I was 18. I started coming here in 1971 as a fan to cheer on some of my favorite drivers, Doug Reilly and Lawrence Reno, being the fourth person, that was who I cheered for. I might have moved Dave St. Clair once or twice, but we've become really good friends over the years. So, and Dave and people like yourself helped make me a much better racer. You'll only ever get as good as the people you race against, and he was one of the best.
Yeah, and one thing I've known about you for a long time, and others, that you're quick to give credit to other people. Obviously, you were the guy wheeling the car, but you know you can't do it without a good crew.
No, and you know, I'm the one that gets the honors to do all this stuff. I was in the victory lanes, and I'm here today. I had a really young pit crew, and they did a fantastic job preparing that car every week. All the hours they put in, the dedication, the time, it takes a village to run a race car. It's a full-time thing. I take my hat off to all of them. They should be honored as much today as me.
All right, well, congratulations. Is there anybody else you want to thank here?
Well, yeah, there's a few things I'd like to say. When you called me, Ken, to tell me about this, just not to get, let it go to my head too much. My wonderful bride, I told her what happened. And she looks over at me and she says, what did you run out of people to vote for? And that's my story. She said, the old people vote for. But that's not the way I heard it. It's my story, so I'm gonna stick with it. And there's another funny story that happened back in the limited days when we were kind of tearing the track up in the limited sportsman series. So we raced before the pro stocks did, and I would always change in my street clothes, come up to the grandstands and sit with my fans, my family and friends who were right there. And so I walked up to the grandstands one night, and my mother starts to laugh. And I said, what's so funny? And she says, when you see those two young girls down there? I said, yeah. She says, they love Lachance. He's just everything. He is just awesome in everything. He's John Lachance, and they're right in love with him. And she says, they didn't even know you walked by him. So, Ken, I really want to thank you over the years, the dedication and all that stuff you've had to making all the fans sit in the grandstands. Know who we are as drivers. I think today, the way it is, the way your victory lane is, they're probably more in tune with who we are because they're up close to the fans. And back then, we were down on the racetrack, so they really couldn't see us, but it was a pretty interesting thing.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to call your races over the years, for sure.
Yeah. So, once you're a racer, it never really goes out of your blood. So a couple of years ago, we were heading camping down to Southwest Harbor, and a friend of mine would come from Bucksport across the bridge, and I'm going up the hill. And a friend of ours is just coming up to the stoplight behind us. Well, he's got a nice diesel pickup truck and all kinds of horsepower, and I've got hold of that 250, and it's only my 35 feet. I'm bound determined he's not going to pass us before we get to Ellsworth. So we're going along, and I keep going a little faster. A little bit, I keep going a little faster, and finally we're doing about 95 miles an hour, and she looks over at me and she says, we used to race to the racetrack, we're not racing to the campground, slow down.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations, Chuck. You're always good for a story, my friend.
I would really like to thank Richard and Vanessa for picking up this track and continuing what it is today, to keep the dreams alive for all the races that have come along today, for all the people that come into grandstands to watch these races. This wouldn't be possible without them. And there would be no reason for us to raise to come on the show that we do without the people that come into grandstands. So let us not ever forget those people and always thank them. And so I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Congratulations, my friend. Our next inductee is J.C. Marsh. Have you heard of him? J.C. Marsh has had a lifelong attachment to racing. The soft-spoken, humble businessman from Mid-Coast Maine found success as a driver around tracks throughout Maine for nearly 20 years, and then stayed in the racing game by channeling his other passion, producing some of the finest-looking race cars anywhere. John began his racing career in 1975 in Wisconsin's six-cylinder Charger division. Teaming up with his friend Neil Rennie, Marsh scored a feature win in his rookie season and a top 10 finish in points. They continued racing and winning at Wisconsin and also took the trek up to Oxford Plains Speedway, where he drove to several wins. After a 10-year run in Chargers, John and friends moved up to late models, picking up top 10s and podium finishes along at both tracks. During the late 80s, he ran mostly Oxford and found success in their Open Comp Series and Triple Crown Series. Then in 1991, at the point when he was considering hanging up his helmet, Wisconsin Speedway was reopened just 20 minutes from his booth at home. With a re-energized team, it all came together in 1992 as he outdueled future Hall of Famer Kenny Wright for the late model championship. While he did it without the benefit of the win, his consistent, clean racing led him to the highly coveted title. As often as JC's style, he was quick to give all the credit to his crew in doing so. Just a year later, it appeared his racing career may be over as he suffered a serious injury while waiting to enter the track for practice. After a long rehab, he made a triumphant return to the track in 1995, enabling him to end his racing career in his own terms. While J.C. Marsh was hustling race cars around Maine's racetracks, he also was building a successful sign company in Booth Bay Harbor, displaying a passion for handmade, hand-painted custom signs. He then combined that expertise with his love of race cars and soon began turning out some of the most beautiful hand-painted race cars around, winning himself and drivers many Best Appearing Race Car awards. John's artwork can still be found on race cars today in a time where hand-painted cars are a lost art. In his nearly 50-year involvement in motorsports, J.C. Marsh lists his friends, relationships that he has gained over the years as his greatest and most rewarding accomplishments. For his lasting impact and success at Wiscasset Speedway and his fellow racers, we welcome John J.C. Marsh to the Hall of Fame Wiscasset Speedway Class of 2022. Now, I know, John, you're not a man of many words, but I know you are. But as I said, you're one, like Chuck is, to give the credit to the folks that helped get you there.
Absolutely, and Neil Reilly was the one that got me started racing in 1974, and still up, I led her to car to the Plano. I knew nothing about racing, I did not know about ball joint, from a tie rod, from an apron, nothing. And so I led her to the car, and I thought it was a beautiful piece of work, and he said, well, come on up and see us get the Best Appearing Car Award. So, I don't want to go. He said, come on. So I went out, and I was still never forget walking through that picnic. I saw this car, Larry Reno's and Rusty Gold's. Those Mustangs, those fast Mustangs, which were the coolest cars on the planet. And they had the wheels sticking out beyond the fenders like a foot, and then he cranked it up. And whoa! It was like instant adrenaline rush, and I was hooked. That day, we did not get the Best Appearing car, Joe Giroux, but Teddy won. I think he won 13 races in a row or something. And the next year, they bought a Charger car. And the year after that, Neil built my first Charger car we ran here in so I owe everything, good or bad, to Neil. It cost me a lot of money. And he was very unselfish, very helpful, and he's also very deserving. I'm just blessed. God bless me with this opportunity, which not a lot of people can do. They don't have means or whatever, and I was able to do it. It was one of the greatest. I had so many great people, and I marvel every time I come into this place. I mean, Dave brought this place back to life. And that was the greatest part of my racing was up here after it came back to life. What the Jordans have done here, every time I go to the gate, I'm just amazed. It's beautiful. I thank John Rice and people that can be here, Charlie Hunt, Neil Barter, Larry Oakes, Brian Pendleton, the Kaylors. There were so many, Alan Brewer, so many people. It wasn't about the racing so much as it was about the people, and we had a great camaraderie and fun. I don't think there was ever a cross word, and we just loved it. And I'm blessed, and I'm thankful, and I'm honored to be here. I told you I don't think I'm deserving, but I'm flattered that I'm here.
All right, well, congratulations on behalf of everybody here. All right, our next inductee is Forrest Paisley. Like many of his fellow Hall of Fame racers, Forrest Paisley's career in racing stretched well beyond just wheeling a race car. The Gardner native had a successful racing career in Wiscasset's tough and competitive Charger and limited sportsman divisions through the 70s and into the early 90s. And then he turned his efforts into supporting others' racing careers as an owner and builder. To add to that, in his later years, Paisley used his resources of his successful businesses to support his favorite racetrack as a sponsor. He broke into racing game in 1973, and within a couple of years was one of the top drivers in the new six-cylinder Charger division. He picked up several wins and a Charger championship before stepping out of his car in 1982 to concentrate on family and business. After getting his convenience store off the ground, he returned to racing in 1991 when his friend Dave St. Clair bought the track. He drove Chargers for 2 more years, which included a runner-up finish to champ Tom Constantino in 1992. A year later, in 1993, Forrest turned his efforts to his son Jamie's limited sportsman career and then grabbed the top 10 points finish in his rookie campaign. Racing for the Paisley family continued off and on for over the years, with Forrest fielding cars for sons Jamie and Joey, and Johnny as well. All the while, Forrest continued to grow his business ventures, LLP Transport, Paisley's Quick Stop, and his own game park through the years. And through the years, as a businessman, he began to give back to the sport that he loved. His business names would be seen on race cars throughout Wisconsin's pit area for the next 20 years. He also supported his friend Dave St. Clair by sponsoring the annual Boss Hog 100, complete with a fleet of big trucks turning fast laps around Maine's fastest track. For Forrest Paisley, it was about family, friends, and making people happy. From giving away ice cream to the kids at his store, to giving tours of the deer in Buffalo and his big game park in Jefferson, to supporting his favorite track. Forrest Paisley has left a lasting impact on the history and success of Wisconsin Speedway, and by doing so has earned his place in the Wisconsin Speedway Hall of Fame class of 2022. Talk a little bit about your dad's passion for racing. It stretched not just from racing on the track, but supporting his friends and supporting his place.
Yeah, I just can't say how much he just loved all of this year. Sure appreciate you being part of this, struggle with this. He just had such a passion for it. You know, like you said, with Dave, you know, fight the track back up there. He got back into it. Had a lot of Rich, that's a continuing on. I just want to thank everybody for that, because I know that that's what else all I can say is just thank all you guys. So
Anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, congratulations, and I've got the plaque right here for you. Checkered flag here for his Paisley class of 2022. Our next inductee is Ray Penfold. Ray Penfold was a true racing Ironman, amassing a racing resume that lasted over 50 years. The patriarch of the Penfold racing family grew up in Maine and began his racing career back in 1948, running and winning at racetracks and fairground speedways all over New England. He was already an established star when Maine's fastest track opened up in 1969, and he soon made Wisconsin Speedway a regular stop. Like many racers of his time, he often raced several tracks over the course of a weekend. He found success at all 5 major racetracks in Maine, but Wisconsin quickly became a family favorite in his trademark number 80 Ford. Over the second half of his racing career, most of it spent at Wisconsin. He picked up over 20 wins and a pair of championships, but for Ray it was also about family. His wife raced and won, and soon his son Bill joined him and raced and continued the family tradition of winning on Maine's fastest track. The two often went head-to-head in Wisconsin's late model and pro stock divisions through the late 80s and early 90s. From there, Ray moved on to NASCAR Busch North Series with Bill. Ray Penfold's oval racing career ended in 1993, but his career in motorsports continued on with mud trucks, which he raced into his early 80s, winning a championship at age 83. Ray was a family man, an astute businessman, and found success both on and off the track. After passing away in December of 2016, the following April, Bill took his dad on one final victory lap around his favorite track. He has left a lasting impact on Wiscasset Speedway and is taking his rightful place in the track's Hall of Fame class of 2022. Congratulations to Ray Penfold. I know you, my friend, are never short on a good story. What was it like racing head-to-head with your dad out there when you were just getting your racing career started and he was a well-established star right here in Wiscasset?
He gave me all his bent parts, and said, make it run. He said, if you do that, you'll be a racetrack driver. So I'd literally take shocks in the vice, straighten them out, put them on my car. And once I got to be able to stay in the top 15, he started getting parts for my car. And one day up to Oxford, we were both racing, and I finally got by my old man, who was pretty wide on the racetrack. Dave raced him. There weren't a wider Ford ever made with that man driving it. So the day I passed him, that was the last day my dad ever finished in front of me.
And so the student became the teacher right there, huh?
Oh no, guys like Dave, JC, all of them, you never stop learning from them. They've always got another trick up their sleeve. It just comes out of you. And there's things that you did you don't even remember until you're on the racetrack. Oh yeah, I know how to do this.
Now, talk about your family's, commitment to this racetrack. Your mom raced here and won races as well.
Yeah, when we came down in 1970, the minute we went on this racetrack, this was home. We just fell in love with it. My mom was a Buttercup champion, then I became champion. My two sisters, they both raced against my mother, and they finished second and third. And it's been a whole family racing here, and a lot of memories. There was a race, I put my father in the wall here. Everybody thought I did it on purpose. Honest to God.
Not you. No.
He missed the ship. Honest to God, he did miss the ship. And so the next day I went to Unity, and one of the guys came up to me and said, "Did you really put your father on the wall?" And I said, "Yeah, I like him, and I don't like you."
Well, congratulations once again on this honor. Is there anybody else you'd like to thank for this?
I want to thank Vanessa and Richard. I mean, you guys have done one of the best jobs at this racetrack to keep it going. The place looks phenomenal. The racing's great. Can't thank you enough for having this. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Our next inductee is John Fibbin, Jr. Hi, darling. Big John Fibbin was a larger than life character and one of the sport's most genuinely nicest people ever to strap into a race car. But the old adage, nice guys finish last, doesn't apply with John Fibbin. Not only did he win a lot of races, he did it at nearly every track he drove on, winning pro stock titles at Unity, Speedway 95, and Wiscasset, a feat only equaled by the Great Stand Reserve. Big John broke into the racing game in 1974 and found early success at Unity Raceway, and then he branched out to Speedway 95 and Spud Speedway, winning championships and multiple sportsmanship awards along the way. When Wiscasset Raceway reopened in 1991, Big John showed up to take on Maine's fastest track. He went toe-to-toe with many of the greats of the sport and continued to find his way to victory lane. In his 17 years at Wiscasset Speedway, he notched over 25 feature wins and finished top 3 in pro stock points 5 times, including the 1999 championship. Through the 90s, he would often race at different tracks on a single weekend. Big John was also known for one of the most unique and entertaining victory lap celebrations ever, where instead of driving the checkers around the track, he would take the checkered flag and run around the top 3 cars, ending his victory lane celebration with a "Thank you very much, thanks for coming" to the cheering fans. But the most prideful part of his career, even above the multiple championships, were all of the sportsmanship awards he received and his relationship with fans and fellow drivers. Big John was named as one of the hella good top 25 drivers in Maine Motorsports and is a 2022 inductee into the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame. We join all of John's friends, fans, and competitors in a celebratory victory lap for Big John as he goes into the Wisconsin Speedway Hall of Fame class of 2022. We love you. We knew this would be a happy day for you and a sad day for you. All your friends and loved ones are here with you. And they're coming, that's right. Give us some of your thoughts on what was it like racing, like Wisconsin on Friday, Unity on Saturday, Oxford or somewhere on Sunday. What was that like, just running around the camper all over the state?
Pack up and go. Get rain here, run to Bangor, change the car over, run to Bangor, run to Unity. It's just not big. We drove 118 miles down here on Friday afternoon and raced. Turn around and go somewhere. Sunday might notice what. It's just how much you love it. You gotta do it.
Right, yeah, he was in a race car that day, wasn't he?
He was. He died at Speedway 95. He raced his car. He got out. He was jacking off. The second he was watching like he normally does. Fell forward.
Right there at Lacey Love. But there was no doubt his love for racing and the love for the fans. Like I said, the prideful part for him was all those sportsmanship awards and the camaraderie he had with the drivers and the connection he had with the fans.
John never raced against anybody he didn't like. He loved everybody. He raced against. He helped anybody. He'd take carts out of his trailer and give them to him. His favorite thing was his sportsmanship awards. These always were voted on by his peers and the people at the track. And that meant more to him than anything. He never got in a fight. Anybody had anything to say, he was speaking up. He was listened to them. And they kept getting angrier and angrier. And then they would finally just say whatever they had to say. And John would say, okay, that's your point of view. And away they went.
He had good demeanor about it.
Yeah, and he would just say, you got a wreck, you come back, you just say, it's another day in paradise. That paint there on my wall.
And I can't forget the thing that was on the back of his car was one of my favorite quotes. Everyone's got a neat quote on the back of their race car. What was John's?
Old, fat, tired, and bald.
That's right.
How many of you had to follow that around the track?
There's a few who did.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that read that too many times.
Is there anybody you want to thank today?
Yeah, my crew, when they get here tonight, it's gonna be a reunion for them because they haven't been together since John died, and, it's gonna be emotional for them, but they're looking forward to it, they're very excited, and then in October, he goes into the Main State Racing Hall of Fame. He earned it, I think he deserves it. I hope there's people that agree with that he definitely deserved it, because he was a good man. I don't think he had issues with taking on the traffic. Just like,
Absolutely. And I don't think there's anybody that would dispute that fact in this room for sure. So congratulations. All right, our final inductee this afternoon is Norm Sherman. Norm Sherman's roots in Wisconsin Speedway run deep and branch out in several directions over his 50-plus year involvement in the sport. And they continue to be far-reaching today. His involvement began as early as 1969 when he worked on the crew for his dad, Ken Sherman, in the famous Apollo 11 car. Obviously catching the racing bug, Norm started driving himself in street stocks in 1978. And he quickly moved into the limited sportsman ranks in the early 80s, serving as crew chief for friend and fellow Hall of Famer Mike Moody, as well as driving the second car. As a driver, Norm hit his stride in the mid-80s in the limited sportsman at then Superior Speedway, winning the Triple Crown Championship as well as a 50-lap memorial race for his friend Mike Moody. More wins piled up in 1987, and he continued to be one to watch. Norm's racing career came to an end in the early 90s with over 25 feature wins here. He stayed involved in the sport through the 90s as a track sponsor, supporting his friend and racetrack owner Dave St. Clair. Norm's involvement as a race car owner began in 2004 with his son Kevin in mini stocks, and then up in the late models with Kevin as well as Adam Chadbourne. Lately, he helps provide equipment and sponsorship to past super late model driver Garrett Hall. Over the past 25 years as a sponsor, you've been able to see the name of his business, Norm's Used Cars, on the side of many of Wiscasset's top competitors, plus on billboards, plus on track equipment for the facility itself. Norm Sherman's lifelong dedication to Wiscasset Speedway has been unmatched by very few. Now that dedication is rewarded with his induction into Wiscasset Speedway's Hall of Fame class of 2022. I didn't realize that your attachment to the track goes back that far. Talk about the early days helping your dad and how it kind of got you the racing bug.
I lived 4 houses down the left. I was with Billy Brock was my best friend back then. We were small enough, Kobe's age, we would go to grandstand to get the coins the day after. And I tell my father was gravel trucks up here in Building. We had a good time. And Wilford Trump would let us take an old beater car to get it going and race around the track. I had a lot of interest in it. Love this more. We'll continue to help.
Now, what about those days back in the 80s? You look like you had a pretty healthy dose of confidence racing back then. One of my favorite photos is of you and Dave lighting up a victory cigar after both picking up opening day wins. But you definitely hit your stride there in the 80s racing.
Yes, I come in and I say, Dave, you win. He said, you win. I said, yeah, we both won, so we have a big cigar. I just had to make a decision in my life to go with the business and racing and have the money to get the racing. So I made that.
Yeah, and we do appreciate that with the push trucks, the pace car, all the things you've done as far as sponsoring events. Now you're branching out, helping the likes of Garrett Hall and Pat.
And we just took on Joey Ryan in the United States. He's doing really well right now.
And we appreciate the fact that you made that transition into being a businessman, but continuing to show your love of the sport. And who would you like to thank for this honor today?
Well, I have to thank my family, my mother, Beverly, Katie, my daughter, all my grandchildren right here. My son is up to Moosehead right now with his wife for the anniversaries. And Terry Drake, Alan Rice, here's our crew members back in the day. Yep, really.
Awesome. Well, congratulations once again. Whoop.
Did I forget anybody?
That was the first one.
Yeah. And I want to thank Beverly for going every weekend. We're packing up Thursday nights and Friday mornings. We go somewhere like go everywhere. It's fun. She doesn't enjoy the unpacking. But we have really fun.
All right. While we have more champions and Hall of Famers on the way, we're going to go ahead and get started and introduce you to a couple of important folks here that we have joining us today. First of all, a special thank you to all of you guys for coming here to visit with us today to Wiscasset Speedway, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. We appreciate you guys being part of this. We got a lot of stories being told down here in Victory Lane already. I can see it. So. So apologies to the guys that are over there still working on their cars, but we'll make sure we mention them when they're out here racing. But earlier today we had a special luncheon to honor this year's Hall of Fame class. Plus we have started a new award called the Legacy Award, which honors individuals who have kind of played a part behind the scenes in lifting up other people's racing careers, expressing their love of racing for a short time behind the wheel, but for their lifetime, helping with other drivers through ownership, crew member, sponsor, what have you. So we had 3 special honorees this year for our Legacy Award. The first one of those was Neil Greenleaf, who was a long-time Strictly Street racer. He helped build this place with Wilfred Cronk. He actually, despite his failing health, came here to help Richard and Vanessa Jordan rebuild Wiscasset Speedway. So I don't know where Mona took off to. Mona, if you're here, raise your hand, wave your hand, whatever. There she is in the front row right over there. That's Neil Greenleaf's widow, Mona Greenleaf. Mona, thank you very much, and a nice round of applause if we could for Neil Greenleaf. And where is Johnny? Here's Johnny. Is he here? They might not be here. Our second Legacy Award winner was another guy who's been behind the scenes racing, has been a sponsor. He races vintage race cars. He supplies vintage race cars for others to drive, including James Osmond and Kevin Sherman, and he even wheels in the hobby class himself in a vintage race car association, the Wicked Good Vintage Racers. Another Legacy Award winner this year was Mr. Johnny Rice. And our third and final honoree as our Legacy Award winner is swapping stories with a guy who raced cars with him back in the day. This guy started racing back here when this track started. If you raced a car out of the Mid-Coast area, down in the islands of Booth Bay and Damerscott, or the whole Mid-Coast area, you probably hooked up with this guy if you wanted to win a race. And he hooked up with the likes of Teddy Polino, with Doug Ripley, and some of the other great drivers to race here at Wiscasset Speedway, including his late son, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, another one of our great Legacy Award winners tonight was Mr. Neil Rennie. So thank you guys very much. And I want to introduce a few of our champions here, give you guys a chance to wave, but Gene, did you want to say a thank you real quick on behalf of Neil?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate all the fans.
All right, and congratulations, Neil. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Now this guy, as they're rolling off, I'll tell you, this guy teamed up with Teddy Polino back in 1973 and 74, and these guys reeled off 18 wins in a row. Were unbeaten over 2 years, so definitely a winning formula. Let's pick out some champions here, and we're going to get to the Hall of Famers last, so I'm going to kind of pick through the crowd here. You, tall one in the back here. Yeah, you, the one who's looking in the wrong direction. Come over here. This guy right here is a former mini stock champion. He's the 2010 Super Street champion. He is your current modified winner with 4 feature wins this year, Mr. Ryan Ripley. Oh, let's pick out another one. You come on up here. You're not going to let him get all the glory. This guy is a former Pro Stock champion here at Wiscasset Speedway, one of the winningest drivers in this track's history, Mr. Darren Ripley. I'll save you. You come on up. This guy right here is a former limited sportsman champion, and he holds the track record of 14 feature wins in one season, Mr. Scott Delano. All right, who else we got here hiding back here? You with the hat. No, not you in the red. You and the cat in the hat right there. This is a guy I haven't seen for over 20 years. Former Strictly Street champion. He told me, what, 27 years ago?
Yeah.
Drove the 00 in the street stocks. Mr. Mike Allen. Oh, they keep getting further back the more I come this way. Mr. Race Director, come on up here. This guy is our current race director and a 2-time mini stock champion here at Wiscasset Speedway, Mr. Sean Kimball. Oh, what else we got here? Come on, help me out here, guys. Where are you? Adam, come on up. I see you. This guy tried to hide. I know you got work to do in your car, so I'll get you out of here pretty quickly. This guy is a 5-time track champion, twice as a Super Street, and 3 times as modified. And Mr. Adam Chadbourne, how you feeling today?
Good. It's a little hot, and got a few things to do to the car, but I think we got a solid car.
I know you've had a challenging season this year, and you've been at this a long time, over 20 years now, right?
Yeah, 20, 22, 23.
Your dad is the one responsible for getting you into this?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he raced when I was real little, and then he got out of it for a few years, and we did street rods, and then I turned into a teenager and said, hey, remember when we used to go to the races? He goes, we don't go to the races unless we're racing something, because that's how we do it, right? And we almost left for the car the first time we came back, and he talked himself out of it, and we came back racing the following year, him and I racing together. Super treat.
Now, this season's been a bit of a challenge for you guys. The class is building up nicely, but how would you assess this season so far?
We've had some good competition, a lot more cars. I'm psyched to have the competition, and I'm all about it, man.
All right. Well, with the way your season's been going, you've certainly met the challenges. You've had some success. You're leading the points once again. Stay right there. I got something for you. Oh, hello. Pete Silva's in the house. That could only be Pete. I got a little something here for you, sir, and it says Wiscasset Speedway, June 2022, four-season synthetic driver of the month, Mr. Adam Chadbourne. And the way that award works, it's not only what you do in the race car, it's what you do out of the race car. You've been helping a lot of people. You've been representing your team, your family, and this track very nicely out of the car. So this comes with a $100 certificate to AMSOIL Products, compliments of Lee Mortensen from Four Seasons Synthetics. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Anybody you want to thank?
I got to thank my family, Richard and Vanessa, and all my sponsors. We really couldn't be here every week without everybody. So.
All right, congratulations. There you go, sir. Now get back to work. Jimmy, come on up. I know you got work to do, too. Going to bring his crew chief with him. This guy is racing today, and he's a three-time Outlaw Mini champion here at Wiscasset Speedway. One of the key factors in getting the Outlaw Minis here to this track. So nice round of applause for Jimmy Childs. Who else are we looking for? Matt, come on up. This cat right here is a former mini stock champion and always a front runner in the street stocks as well. Look for him looking for a win tonight in the number 08, Mr. Matt Cannon Jr. Come on. To say this guy had quite a year last year, coming into last season, he didn't have any championships, so he didn't really belong here unless he was helping his grandfather. But he did a historic thing. He ended up winning himself 3 championships in 3 different divisions. And to top it off, now you are a winner in 4 different divisions here this year. Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for Mr. Josh St. Clair. Ryan, come on up. Here's another guy busy racing tonight, but we wanted to give him his due. He's a former truck division champion here at Wiscasset Speedway, Mr. Ryan Hayes. Like a lineup at the police station. Come on up here, guys. Joe, come on up. This cat's another former street stock division champion. Now he's helping his family hustle go-karts around the track up in Richmond. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back Joe Creamer. Who am I missing back here? Ryan, come on up. This guy's a former Thunder 4 mini champion here at Wiscasset Speedway and had 9 or 11 wins that year. It was quite a season. It was 11. Yeah, he was quick to remind me. It was 11. Just talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan Chadwick. James. Come on up. This guy's been a front runner pretty much his whole career. He's a former driver of the year here at Wiscasset Speedway and last year's Super Street champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Osmond. All right. Am I missing anybody else? If you're a champion and I've missed you, let me know. The rest are crew guys back here, again, trading stories. I want to recognize a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if he's won a championship here at Wiscasset Speedway, but he ran a lot of races here, won a lot. He had a very distinctive car. I had the pleasure of calling a lot of his races early in his career. He's a member of the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame. That cat in the blue right down there, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larry Pottle. All right, now to some revisiting Hall of Famers here. This guy right here was one of the members of the inaugural Hall of Fame class here at Wiscasset Speedway in 2019. He was a former street stock racer, late models, limiteds, you have it. One of the true Ironmen here at Wiscasset Speedway. Driving car number 49, Mr. Vern Hodgkin. He said, "That's me." Welcome back, my friend. We're actually going to have you guys join us for a group photo down here if you're welcome to stick around. This next guy was a member of Wiscasset Speedway's Hall of Fame class in last year, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Mr. Bob Halley. Another guy who was a member of Wiscasset Speedway's inaugural Hall of Fame class in 2019, the patriarch of the great Ripley racing family. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Doug Ripley. All right, a little bit further back in the pack and trading stories with one of the other crews he raced against back in the day. This guy was a member of Wiscasset Speedway's inaugural Hall of Fame class in 2019. Raced a lot in the beginning, raced a lot in the middle, owned the track in the middle, still racing today. He is a Maine Motorsports Hall of Famer as well. Welcome back, Boss Hog, Dave St. Clair. Of course I will. Dave, I'll never let you walk by without the mic.
Well, you know I like to talk, right?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I can't race tonight. My wife's in the pit.
We love you, Sandra. All right. Who we looking for next out here? I think the rest are current Hall of Famers from this year's class. So I will happily introduce them to you. First of all, this guy's father was a big-time street stock racer at Oxford Plains Speedway and here at Wiscasset Speedway. Had a big part in getting a lot of people on the racetrack, including this guy right here and his grandson, Jonathan. So our first inductee is Larry Emerson. And here to represent, two-time Wiscasset Strictly champion, Zach Emerson. Zach, we had a chance to talk earlier. Here's your chance to thank all the fans and all the folks that cheered for your dad.
Yeah, to start off with Richard and Vanessa. I mean, with the stuff they're doing on this track is just unbelievable. Everybody starting the Hall of Fame, that's unbelievable too. I'd like to thank all the fans that cheered us over the years, especially him. We got quite a crew here this weekend to honor him, and we're going to try to go out and try to get a couple trophies tonight for him.
All right, great job. Zach Emerson, folks. Our next Hall of Famer, one of the most popular late model and pro stock drivers to turn laps here at Wiscasset Speedway, two-time champion. He won 400 lap races in a row here back in the early 90s, and always a big smile on his face when it comes to racing. Folks, welcome back Chuck Lachance. Chuck, how about today? You've certainly had a lot of people to thank, and here's your chance again to thank all the great fans that cheered you on.
Well, I'm really lucky to be here, and there's one person I really want to thank right now. He was a big part of my team when I first started racing in the limited days. I hadn't seen him for quite a while, but Reggie Harris is here. He was so loyal, working on the race car every week and coming to the track with me every weekend, and it's just awesome. I want to thank Richard and Vanessa once again for fixing this place up the way they have. This track is absolutely phenomenal now, and to keep the dream alive for all the new young racers and all that, and especially all you fans that come to cheer us on, and without you people here, it wouldn't make any sense to come race. So once again, thank you. And I am honored to be part of the class this year. It's just awesome.
Glad to have you as part of it. Chuck Lachance, everyone. I don't think he made it back. He kind of shook his head and said he wasn't sure, but I want to make sure we recognize him. This guy ran Chargers. He won a Charger Division championship here at Wiscasset. He also ended up, well, he went to Oxford for a little bit. But like most folks, he smartens up and he comes back. And he came back here to us in the early 90s, and he won the late model championship in 1992 over Kenny Wright. So our next inductee into the 2022 class of the Hall of Fame is Mr. J.C. Marsh. And John, you'll see his great work on still hand paints race cars. Some of the greatest looking race cars you'll see roll onto this track. If you have a chance to see Jason Oakes Super Street, it's a great piece of his work right there. You snuck by me, but I'm not going to let you stay there for too long. So you come on up. I know you got work to do too. Here's another Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Famer. He was in part of our inaugural class here in 2019. 10-time champion as a car owner and driver, over 150 wins as a car owner and driver. And yeah, there's a lot, buddy. But a big day for you as well. Congratulations. Dale Chadbourne, one of your Hall of Famers. Now getting back to this year's class of 2022, another driver who picked up a Charger championship. He ran in the limited sportsman for a little bit. Patriarch of a great family that's raced here throughout the years. And not only did he race, but he supported this track, whether it was through his friend Dave St. Clair when he owned the track, sponsoring the Boss Hog 100, doing all kinds of stuff. He had a great legacy here at Wiscasset Speedway and continues today. Unfortunately, not with us anymore, but his family is here to honor him. Our next inductee into the Hall of Fame is Forrest Paisley. And we got Jamie Paisley here with us, Johnny Paisley, and Forrest's late wife, Linda, here to represent the family. And Linda, he did the talking in the luncheon today. You're going to get to thank everyone. The two of you can do it together. Be sure to thank all the great fans that Forrest absolutely loved this place and just loved to be around racing.
Thank you to all of you people, and he would be so proud if he were here. He would just love it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody again, and just like I said earlier, and this would have been real special to him, and it would have meant the world to him.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys very much. A great honor for a man who raced here, sponsored here, and we love seeing those tractor trailers. I hope you guys bring those back in September.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll bring them down.
All right, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for the Paisley family. Our next Hall of Famer is a guy who was one of the first champions here at Wiscasset Speedway, a true pioneer of the sport. He had already been racing for about 20 years when this track first opened, but his family has certainly had a great legacy here. His wife raced and won here. His son raced and won here. And one of his cars is right out there, the blue number 80. Looked like it did when the last time he raced here. But it's our pleasure to welcome back to Wiscasset Speedway to represent Ray Penfold. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Penfold. And Billy, we talked about your family's attachment to this place, about how everyone in the family got into racing here.
Yeah, when my dad first come down here and we got on a racetrack, we just fell in love with Wiscasset. And once you race Wiscasset, it's always in your blood down here. Fans are great. That's why we do it. You know, whether you cheered me, booed me, I made you excited. My dad was the same way. We just loved everybody down here.
And here's your chance to thank any crew or the fans for all the great years your dad had here.
It was usually the fans. My dad was always happy out on the racetrack. As long as he could make people excited, whether you booed him, loved him, or wanted to see him crash, he was just happy to be here.
And I think one of the most memorable things we saw here recently was just a couple years ago when your dad passed, you had the opportunity to take him out for his final victory lap here at this track he loved so much.
Yeah, I did, and he gave me my first ride here, so I had to give him his last.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for Billy Penfold, representing his dad, Ray Penfold, in the Hall of Fame. Our next recipient is a gentle giant, we called him, a bigger-than-life character here at Wiscasset Speedway. Won a lot of races against some of the top talent, not only here at Wiscasset, but a driver who won championships here, Speedway 95 and Unity. Only one other driver I know of has done that, and that was the great Stan Meserve. So And he had, without a doubt, the most genuine, fun victory lap that I've ever seen here. He wouldn't drive the checkers around the track. He would take the checkered flag and run them around the cars that he beat, and then run up and say, "Thank you very much. Thanks for coming." So without further ado, I have his wife Deb here and some of the members of the crew. So to represent Big John Phippen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Deb Phippen. Yeah, Mike, you were part of that crew too. You guys, now, Deb, it wasn't just about being here at Wiscasset. We talked earlier. You guys would load up the camper and come here on Fridays, and then you'd drive all over the state. How many miles a weekend would you put on racing 3 tracks in a weekend?
Hey, how many miles, guys?
Too many, huh?
Go to Bangor?
Racing on the same night?
If it was rainy here, we'd load up and we'd go to Bangor or Unity, wherever it wasn't. Yep. Oxford, Beech Ridge, Caribou, wherever.
Wherever it took you guys. Now, one thing we talked about also was the fact that he was obviously proud of the championships, but I think the thing that made him most proud was all the sportsmanship awards he won at not only this track, but others as well. That was really important to him.
That was very important to him because that was voted on by the fans and the people that ran the track, and that was what he was most proud of because that meant that he was doing his job and people respected what he was doing.
Absolutely. And one final thing, again, one of the cool things about him was that little saying on the tail end of that race car. Tell the folks about that, and people had to stare at that for 50 laps on a night.
Oh, yeah. Old, fat, tired, and bald.
So they had to follow that guy around for 50 laps every night.
Yep, I don't know how many of you remembered following that for many, many laps, but old, fat, tired, and bald.
And he is now in the Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Anybody you want to thank real quick?
Yeah, I want to thank all of my pit crew because they were there every single night, every night that we worked, and nights every single night, and every weekend that we went, everywhere we went, and all of our fans that chased us wherever we went. John had a big fan base, and I don't know anybody that didn't like him.
Absolutely. We all love him here. We love you too, so congratulations. Thank you very much. One more Hall of Fame recipient. And this guy has had deep roots here at Wiscasset Speedway. He worked on the pit crew for his dad, who ran the famous Apollo 11 car back when this track first opened. He himself was a racer back in the 80s, won a lot of races in the limited division, I believe it was. I'm just going off memory here, but he's won himself over 25 races here at Wiscasset Speedway. And then he got into being a car owner for his son and for Adam Chadbourne and a bunch of other people. Since then, he's been a sponsor on cars all over the place, sponsor of Wiscasset Speedway, sponsor of our push truck and pace car. He loves this place, and he has been a big part of it for over 50 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Sherman. And Norm, again, let's talk about your attachment to this place. I know your dad got you hooked early, and you haven't left ever since.
Yeah, I was telling him earlier, I lived down the road, and I always was here weekends, nights, and this was my play area, and still is. I still enjoy coming here.
And about those days, one of my favorite photos is you and Dave both lighting up a victory cigar.
Right. The first heat I had with a pro late model, I was pretty proud of it, and Dave and I was racing around in the heat, and he let up a little bit, and I snuck by and won the heat, and his son was so mad at him. He said, I worked on this car all winter long, and you let this young guy beat you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Who do you want to thank for this honor this weekend?
All you guys, you're great. Richard and Vanessa, Ken Manette, Peter's always here. You guys are doing a great job with this place, and I look forward to doing it more.
All right. Many thanks to you for all your support, ladies and gentlemen. Norm Sherman. So, folks, those are our Hall of Famers.